Welcome to Clarity Design. We're going to have a look at May 2011, and we're going to be looking at booleans. So let's have a look at what booleans do. Basically, booleans join two objects together in different ways and combine the two to make one surface. So let's have a look. I've got the outliner open here for a reason, and you'll see why that is in a minute. So let's just select these two objects first of all. And it does matter what order you select them in for this process. And instead of being in the Edit Mesh menu under the Polygon menu set, we are in the Mesh menu set, and it's booleans here. And the first one we're going to do is we will union them. So let's just union those two objects together. There were options there as well. I could go and play around with the options if I wanted. It looks like nothing has changed, apart from if you look at the outliner, you can see that these two have been now fed into groups, and that feeds polysurface 1. So if I delete those two objects, those two groups, they're feeding into it, so the object disappears. So we can't delete them. If we want to delete them, we'd have to duplicate, and then we can delete this lot, and we'd be left with the combined surface. So there's a history to it that can be enjoyed, used or removed. So I've got them combined, but what's actually happened here is if we go inside, you'll see that actually what's happened is we've got a removal of the faces inside the shape, which is really useful to reduce polygon count and to make sure that your shapes are joined nicely, particularly if you're using basic shapes like this, so that you don't get gaps happening or motion between them when you start animating. So quite a useful little tool, that. So the next one, let's just go and have a look here, and this time it does matter which order you select them in, because we're going to remove one from the other. So you can play around with this if you want and see what happens. So inside mesh again, not edit mesh, inside mesh, booleans, difference. And what you can see there is it takes the difference, the difference space between one and the other, and removes it. Okay, and then the other one, obviously very straightforward, exactly the same sort of thing. You're in mesh, booleans, intersection, and you're just left with the bit that's intersected. So there we go. In fact, because these are identical models, we could probably overlap those and put those together to make the original shape if we wanted to. So they were duplicated shapes. So here I've got the pivot point in the center of the scene. The pivot point is always made at the center of the scene whenever you make a Boolean process, because it's generating a new object referencing the originals. And you can see here the original 6 cylinders have all been referenced to make these ones. So that's how Booleans work. Very easy, and it's often quite a nice way to make some simple shapes more complex, and it can save you a lot of time in modelling. I'm going to leave it there.